The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive. Covering weekly fallout from TNA Impact Wrestling Live as seen on Spike TV. You're listening to Impact Showdown Radio with your host, Lee Sanders.
All right, and we are live. Welcome, boys and girls, to an all-new Impact Showdown live coming at you on June 27, 2013. Just a couple of minutes past the 11 o'clock hour on the East Coast. Very good Thursday evening to you all. The weekend is almost here. Can you feel it? I know many of you are really looking forward to this weekend, but you're probably looking even more forward to what's going to be happening next week as we got the 4th of July. I know some of you are probably making your travel plans. Some of you are probably already getting your grocery list together, trying to figure out what you're going to cook on the grill, all that good stuff. Definitely yours truly over here is gearing up for that holiday as well. But, man, I'm looking more forward to this weekend. Of course, we'll give you a little bit more details about that and why I'm so pumped up about this weekend. As always, we got the chat room open for you guys over on blogtalkradio.com. Oh, yeah, you know what time it is, Thursday night. That must mean one thing. It's the Impact Showdown Live simulcast, and we're doing our thing here on blogtalkradio.com, and we're also doing our thing over on YouTube. If you want to see yours truly live in the flesh, just hop on over to our YouTube channel at the RCWR Show. And, yeah, man, it's going to be a pretty awesome show tonight. We got a lot of stuff that we got to cover on tonight's episode. It has been a busy week for TNA Wrestling. We're going to give you guys the 411 on what all has been going down. But, yeah, we got the chat room open for you guys. You can also interact with us during the course of this episode by hitting us up on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. You can also hit us up at our other Twitter handle, the RCWR Show. And for those of you that have subscribed to us on YouTube or you just happen to have a YouTube account, you know, you can interact with us during the course of the episode. Just comment down below. Love to hear from you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. Phone lines, depending on how fast we go through everything, what went down with tonight's show and TNA Wrestling, headlines, that is, we might have enough time to maybe squeeze in one or two phone calls, but for now, let's just go ahead and have right at it. All right, so tonight's episode of Impact, you know, it was taped last week, and it had got a little bit of buzz as people that were in attendance, they were talking about the identity of Suicide being revealed, and Impact Wrestling, they kind of beautifully played off of this as they put a nice little thumbnail on their website asking that million-dollar question, who is Suicide? Well, you got to find out tonight as the identity was going to be revealed, but we got a little bit of a curveball, if you will. Now, for our opening match, we saw the X Division title get put on the line as Suicide had took on Chris Sabin and Kenny King. Remember, this was pretty much the final opportunity that a person has to be the X Division champion and have the opportunity to possibly cash it in at the Destination X pay-per-view, event, coming up on Spike TV. And I believe that is going down on July the 18th. Let me just make sure I'm looking at the calendar right. I believe that is July 18th. Yeah, I actually said that right, July 18th. And we would actually see a new X Division champion get crowned in Suicide. However, immediately after the match, we saw Hulk Hogan, brother, come on out. And he had T.J. Perkins with him. You all know that name very well if you know your wrestlers. Turns out T.J. Perkins has been Suicide the entire time, which makes what went down in the ring very weird because the guy that is under the Suicide costume is not Suicide. So the million-dollar question of the night, who's the guy under the Suicide mask? And before we could even get an answer, we had actually saw this individual just haul off into the crowd section, and that was pretty much it for at least that point in time. We would find out later on in the night as we had a main event match. It was Mr. Anderson taking on Samoa Joe. And the Bound for Glory series, it did continue. Points were up for grabs. We saw Samoa Joe pick up a victory via submission to give himself 10 points. But unfortunately, it was not enough to climb the leaderboards this week, as Magnus also had a match. And he won that match as he had took on Bobby Roode. Yeah, he defeated the former World Heavyweight Champion, one of the longest reigning TNA World Heavyweight Champions we've seen in quite some time. He picked it up via pinfall, and he picked up a bonus 7 points. So if you're keeping track of the BFG series, not really that much has changed this week, as Magnus, for the second week in a row, he is dominating in the leaderboards with a commanding 17 points. But close in second place is the one and only, oh yeah, you guessed it, Samoa Joe with 12 points. And very interesting development as Sting and Kurt Angle, they teased it. They had promised us that they were going to introduce a new member of Main Event Mafia. It would be just that from that main event match between Samoa Joe and Mr. Anderson. It was actually Samoa Joe. He was given a suit and everything. And I love the little reference that they had made with the whole Men's Warehouse. You're going to love the way you look. I guarantee it. I love that. George Zimmerman, I wonder how that guy is doing right now, or George Zimmer, whatever the guy's name is, founder of Men's Warehouse, CEO. He has not been doing that well. And TNA Wrestling, they just, I got to give them just my hats off, because these guys, they figured out a really cool way of referencing what had went down in the headlines with the Men's Warehouse CEO, as he got fired by his own board because they basically wanted to go in a different direction with the company. They basically fired him after he expressed concerns about the direction of the company. And keep in mind that this is a company that he built 40 years ago, and he gets fired from his own company. Unprecedented, I know, right? I know. But, yeah, nice little fun reference right there that Sting and Kurt Angle had made as they gave Samoa Joe his Men's Warehouse outfit. Some good stuff right there. That main event, after the match went down, we saw Hulk Hogan come out, and he demanded to know the identity of Suicide. Bully Ray actually came out as well. He wanted to know the identity, and we saw Suicide cut one very cryptic-like promo. You really weren't able to sure how to take this promo that he was given, as it just sounded really vague. But the one thing that was very clear was that he did not like the fact that Bully Ray basically got to the championship somewhat the easy way, and he looks at winning the X Division title. Suicide, that is, looks at winning the X Division title as an opportunity that rarely comes, and he would reveal that he's beaten Bully Ray before, and that he's also the one that paved the way for future X Division champions. Yeah, that's right, folks. It was none other than the one, the only, Double A, Austin Aries, that was up under that Suicide mask to end the night of Impact Wrestling. And I mean, when I just saw this moment go down, I know that this was taped last week, and I know some folks, wrestling websites, they put the spoilers out there and all that. I hate really reading the spoilers. I like to just kick back and just relax, just check it out as it airs. For me to kick back and see that moment, the first thing I said to myself was, man, way to have Austin Aries just skyrocket right back into the main event scene. Because honestly, if they couldn't have done it with Bobby Roode, then yeah, it had to been Austin Aries. I think this is a really nice new development that's going on right now. And just for the storyline purposes, the track record of Austin Aries. Just think about it for a second. Last year, he cashed in that X Division title at Destination X, and he became the new TNA champion, defeating Bobby Roode for it, longest reigning champion for TNA Wrestling at that point, and he took the title off of him. Great moment right there. Who better to go one-on-one with Bully Ray for the title than the man that pretty much gave future X Division champions a shot to cash in the title for a shot at the TNA heavyweight title. I love it. Now, is Austin Aries going to come up short? You know, TNA Wrestling, I think they need a little something right now. They need a little jolt, but I don't think they're going to get that from Austin Aries. Of course, we got Hulk Hogan, who is now left with a very crucial decision. Does he go on ahead and allow Austin Aries to keep this spot, to go on ahead and face Bully Ray at the Destination X event on Spike TV, or does maybe a match come out of this between Austin Aries and T.J. Perkins, a.k.a. the Real Suicide? Personally, if I was kicking back and I was writing this, I would definitely tie up some loose ends. I would actually have T.J. Perkins take on Austin Aries, and I'm looking at the calendar right now, and quite honestly, they've got about 3 weeks to go until the Destination X event. I say they could actually build this up. They could have T.J. Perkins, Austin Aries cross path next week. Maybe Hulk Hogan can make some type of an announcement that the week after that, those two men will be taking each other on. Winner of that will definitely go on to Destination X to face Bully Ray for the TNA title. I think that's the only way you can really do this. Would it make sense for them to possibly make it be a triple threat match between these three guys? No, I don't see that happening right now. I think the safer bet is just to go with a one-on-one match and just put that little stipulation out there. Let T.J. Perkins, Suicide, whatever he wants to call himself, let him go on ahead and face Austin Aries for a shot at facing Bully Ray at Destination X. But great little mind twister that they did right there. I had really enjoyed how that segment had played off to end the night of Impact Wrestling. Other action that we had saw on Impact tonight, we saw the beautiful and the lovely Hardcore Country Mickie James defeat Velvet Sky in a rematch for the Knockouts title. This was actually one of my highlights of the night, as Mickie James once again going at the bad legs of Velvet Sky. I don't know what doctor is sitting up clearing Velvet. Maybe they're just blinded by her beauty, but it's obvious those knees of hers are weak, because once Mickie James was able to grab a hold of those legs and she just went for the whole submission maneuver, almost similar to what she did to Velvet Sky a couple of weeks back, as she won the same way via submission, just an ugly submission hold, as she has the legs and she's putting a lot of torque around the neck area. Ooh, you know, I think Velvet Sky, hon, you need a second opinion. You need a new doctor altogether, because you definitely were not 100% tonight. But, you know, surprisingly, and I know I've been very critical of Velvet Sky since she's come back to the promotion, because her wrestling just wasn't quite up to par with what we had seen of her the last go-round before she left TNA Wrestling. I must say, the match that she had tonight against Mickie James, she really, really brought it on offense. I was very pleased. I think she's really coming along very nicely. I want to see her continue to chase after the title a little while longer. I think that this could end up, maybe we might see Velvet Sky get the title back at Destination X. Who knows? But I've really just been enjoying these two girls just going back and forth. We saw a TNA gut check match go down tonight. We had the one and only, the Big O, and that name should sound very familiar to you guys. If it doesn't, Hey, we got you hooked up. You know me, I always do a little bit of homework for you guys, but in this case, I really didn't need to do that much homework as just the guy himself. I'm definitely familiar with his work. His name has gotten around. I've heard his name quite a bit. Adam O'Reiner, and of course, better known as the Big O. He mainly wrestles down in the independent circuit, and he's a regular for the New York Wrestling Connection and Pro Wrestling Syndicate. And right now, he's currently the Texas Heavyweight Champion. And you guys may better know him as being the sidekick buddy of WWE Zack Ryder for that YouTube series, Z, True Long Island Story. And, that's pretty much where he's really known for. That's pretty much where I kind of first came across the guy, really, as it was like, 2011 to maybe earlier this year. We kept seeing him pop up in those YouTube series. And, this guy, just a big muscle of a man. He was taking on Ryan Howe. Man, you talk about an original entrance. This man is a musician. He knows how to play the guitar. And if you guys did not see Impact Wrestling tonight, this is definitely one you want to try to see if you can catch on YouTube or catch the highlight clips that's shown on TNA Wrestling's channel on YouTube. And you can catch that and all other footage that you might have missed from tonight's Impact Wrestling. This kid had one unique entrance. It made me kick back and say, hey, WWE, Ryan Howe called. He wants Heath Slater to give him back his gimmick because this kid is the real freaking deal. Now, if his face kind of looked a little bit familiar to those of you that had watched Impact tonight, it should, because back in 2011, he was one of the participants in Tough Enough 5, and he was eliminated in the 5th episode, if I'm not mistaken. But despite that, his dream, his passion, his drive to want to be a professional wrestler, it continued, and he's been doing this thing in a few various promotions, various territories, and here he was with an opportunity to take on the Big O. And, this was pretty much all about the Big O from what I was able to see. I mean, yeah, Ryan Howe, he took some pretty good hits from Big O. He really did a good job selling them, but this was really about Big O, who really just dominated over Ryan Howe. And he looked a little bit stiff in some areas, but, man, you just look at the 28-year-old, I believe is his age. I mean, this guy looks like a freaking Brock Lesnar, Batista in the making. I would be shocked if TNA Wrestling did not give this guy a contract. Quite honestly, I think they should give both men contracts. I think this is a time where they need to make an exception. As remember, these names, they were part of the online TNA Gut Check, where you all, the fans, got to go online each week and you got to vote for who you wanted to see advance into the brackets. And then towards the end, there was pretty much a champion bracket where the winners from the respective brackets were just in this gigantic pool. And these two guys, they pretty much are the top dogs right now. So I would hope TNA Wrestling makes an exception and they give contracts to both men, as they both looked impressive, especially that Ryan Howe entrance. Any guy that can come out and actually play the guitar like that, he's got my vote of confidence. But Big O, I think he's going to get this hands down. I definitely would love to know what you guys think about that, especially you guys on YouTube. Feel free to post your comments down below. We saw the beautiful and the lovely Tara return, but it wasn't the way some of you would expect, because for those of you that was maybe expecting her to cut some type of a promo on a knockout or maybe kick on back and be involved in a match, that wasn't even the case. She just silently came out to support Jesse and Robbie E, like a valet, if you will, as they had interrupted James Storm and Gunner. Very incoherent promo, too. I don't know where the hell that promo was going from those two guys, but I was really happy to see Jesse and Robbie E cut them off. they introduced themselves as the new stable, Bromance. I apologize. I actually said it, Bromance. Either way, it sounds really ridiculous. So BROMANS. Yeah, Bromance. They need some work on that name, as it sounds a little weird. But in either case, we saw Gunner and Storm. They pretty much had roughed up those guys a little bit. Looks like we're probably beginning to see a new rivalry go down between these four men. And, quite honestly, I'm fine for that, because ever since these guys won the tag titles, it's been a little ice cold for them. So I'm more than happy to see them get some TV time. And honestly, Robbie E., Jesse, I think it's a good combination. And, I'll jump out there. I actually can see them as the new tag champions if they play their cards right. So this is one rivalry I'm going to be watching very carefully over the next couple of weeks on Impact TV. Other action that we have saw on Impact tonight, well, that's pretty much it. I mean, it was a pretty short episode, not really that many matches. My main takeaway of tonight's Impact, really, I would have to say Samoa Joe being introduced into Main Event Mafia. The stable just continues to grow. That's my main takeaway of that. Austin Aries being revealed as the guy under the suicide mask. Looks like he's getting a shot at Bully Ray. I mean, they need that right now. They need some buzz going into that Destination X event, and who better to take on Bully Ray than another former TNA World Heavyweight Champion? Surprisingly, Jeff Hardy nowhere to be seen after he made his return to Impact a couple of weeks back. I know, kind of weird, right? Yeah, there's a couple of people that were missing from tonight's Impact Wrestling, but, maybe it was for good reason. Right now, I want to switch gears, and I just want to dive into some TNA wrestling headlines. And actually, before I do that, I definitely want to take this time out to thank those of you that's checking out the show right now, whether it be on blogtalkradio.com or you're checking it out on YouTube. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And let's show some love. I want to take a peek in the chat room, say hi to our buddy Jennifer. Let's see what she's saying. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, Ryan Howe, that man on the guitar, I mean, that's the real Heath Slater. That's the real three-man band right there. They need to just give him a contract just for the hell of it, honestly. I mean, I was sold on this guy. Big O, don't get me wrong, he looks damn good. He looks like a freaking beast, but there was just something about how that just had me go, damn, this guy is a wrestler, and he knows how to play the guitar. It's like Chris Jericho from Fozzy and Heath Slater all rolled up in one. It's like peanut butter chocolate heaven. How can you not take this guy? Yes, Big O, yes. Vlad Kozlov, yes, I love WWE, yeah, seriously, that's exactly what I had said, Jennifer, really. It's crazy. But I want to dive into some TNA headlines, and it's been a very busy week for TNA. And, the one thing that jumps out at me that I want to share with you guys, it's looking as though Taz is possibly, just possibly, take this with a grain of salt, Taz is possibly going to be leaving TNA Wrestling. He may be going back to the WWE. He had put out this very cryptic tweet earlier this week. And let me see if I can pull it up for you, because it has since been deleted, but you know how social media works. Once you put the tweet out there, a couple other folks retweet it, it's always going to be out there for cyber internet to see. And this is what he said, direct quote right here, couple of big wrestling shows in my hometown of Brooklyn, hashtag Red Hook near Barkley. He put that tweet out there yesterday. Now, for some of you that's kind of like, huh? This is a mention to the Barclays Center, which will host WWE Raw for the first time if I'm not mistaken, the night after the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So you're kind of keeping that into your mind as Taz's current deal with TNA Wrestling is set to expire in just a few weeks. So another thing to keep in mind is that it looks like as of the Las Vegas tapings, looks like Saturday coming up for July 4th and July 11th, that will be it for Taz. He will be contractually done with TNA Wrestling. Now, I know we got some people, and I don't listen to them, but I know we're probably going to have some people, they're probably going to go like on a 15, 20-minute rant about Taz. Should he go back to WWE? Blah this, blah that. They want to just feed all into this. This is what makes our show so original over here, because only over here you're actually going to get in-depth original thoughts, and it's really good that we're doing this live show for you guys tonight talking about this. When I first heard this news, and I'm taking it with a grain of salt, but I'm also entertaining the idea that this could go down, that Taz's contract could be expiring and nothing has been set in stone yet. Well, if that's the case, TNA Wrestling, I have a question for you. How come you did not keep Todd Kinley working alongside Mike Tenay until you guys definitely knew for a fact that you're going to be able to re-sign Taz and he's going to be able to continue doing his work down in TNA? Bear in mind, Todd Kinley, he never had a contract with TNA Wrestling when he first joined the company last year. I believe it was around October or November. He had been fighting hard to get a contract, but he was never offered one. And the way that they let him go, which I still think is just downright tacky, they let him go at Slammiversary. He pretty much was informed right then and there that that would be his last show, that due to budget cuts, that some cuts had to be made, and he was one of the casualties. Okay, I'm all fine for that, but why couldn't they keep him a little while longer until they knew for certain that Taz was definitely going to be re-signing with TNA Wrestling? That just makes no freaking sense to me right there. And Todd kind of really came off as like he was one of those type of people who, if you did him right, he would be very loyal to you, your promotion. You know, that's, I don't know about you guys, but for those of you that have your small businesses and all of that, you know, I'm kind of looking at it from that business standpoint, and I'm kind of saying, okay, let's keep Todd around, because the cryptic message that Taz put out, it didn't exactly make him look that good. Now, maybe that was his way of kind of saying he was going to be in the house, because after all, Rob Van Dam's going to be making his return at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. He's probably going to be showing up the night after, and hey, maybe Taz was going to be in the house to see his old friend, see some other people in WWE. But given the fact that this is coming at a time where his contract is about to expire, it does kind of send mixed signals. But that's just a couple of ways you can kind of look at what's going on right here. I just want you to really grasp that and just really run home with that. But if his contract really is expiring and a new deal has not been worked out yet, I mean, just 101, you got to have there be a backup just in case things do not go right. And, I mean, hell, you burn bridges with Don West. You kind of burn bridges with Todd Kinley. If things don't work out with Taz, what, Mike Tenay is going to be a one-man band, or are you going to pair him up with Jeremy Borash, who, bear in mind, not that many fans approve of his work? Or maybe, just maybe, the answer for Mike Tenay's potential new commentating partner, if Taz does not work out, is one Matt Stryker. And did I mention we're going to have Matt Stryker on the RCWR show this Saturday? Yeah, I'll give you more details about that in a little bit, but let's move along. Also looks like TNA Wrestling is having some possible financial problems. Get this. And I thought this was a kind of funny when I heard about this. This is according to the Wrestling Observer. They're pretty reliable for wrestling news information. Their sources are usually pretty on point. Very rare do they make a mistake, and if they do, they're very professional to issue a apology. But according to them, it looks like TNA officials are reportedly showing signs that they're worried about money. Now, TNA, they have been cutting back on the number of people they fly out for their television tapings. The cost of taping on the road and lack of new revenue streams coming in is said to be a cause for concern. At this time, TNA is mostly flying in the Bound for Glory series competitors, the Aces and Eights, some knockouts, 3 X Division wrestlers, and a few others. So basically, they're cherry picking. And, you know, when I hear this type of stuff, the first thing that's kind of clicking in my mind is, well, if things are really financially that bad for you, TNA Wrestling, why the hell are you guys signing new talents left and right? Why are you doing all these other, let's get down to basics. I would love to just financially and just professionally have control of TNA Wrestling for just 3 weeks, because there are just some people that I'm looking at on that roster that if they are under some type of a contract and TNA is paying them money, I would just cut them loose. And let me tell you this, if I were to go through some names right now, I would probably piss off some people. And, I'm not going to jump out there and name names. Who knows? Maybe that can be for next Thursday's show. But, there's some people that I'm looking at, some people that aren't even on the roster, some people that, haven't even been making appearances on Impact religiously, that just has me kind of kick back and say, what's the use, what's the purpose of keeping them on the roster when you're not even utilizing them? If I were to give you guys one name off the break, might piss the guy off. We had him on the show. We interviewed him. It's nothing personal. I would cut ties with Joey Ryan. The guy, honestly, has not been the same since he left Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Empire Wrestling Federation. He hasn't been the same since he parted ways with those companies and he joined TNA Wrestling. I mean, that guy, come on, you guys got to agree with me. He was like one of the hottest things that was going on for TNA Wrestling, with his constant interference in the TNA Gut Check tournaments on TV, just popping up randomly on Impact Wrestling. I mean, the guy was just really creating a lot of buzz for himself. Goes into TNA Wrestling, next thing you know, he's pretty much forgotten about. Blueprint, Matt Morgan. I don't know what's going on with this guy. Do I think TNA Wrestling should cut ties with him? I think they'd be stupid to cut ties with him, because that's a future TNA World Heavyweight Champion. They just need to invest the proper time into this man already and stop playing around with everybody else. But, there's a couple of people I'm looking at that's on that roster that really, TNA Wrestling, they need to go on ahead and they need to cut ties with. And so many of you wonder why some of your favorite performers, like Tara, isn't popping up more in TNA Wrestling. That's because TNA Wrestling, they've been doing such a crappy job paying these folks that when you really break it down, they just aren't making enough revenue off of TNA Wrestling to pay the bills. And when you can't pay the bills, you got problems. And that's why we see a lot of these wrestlers in TNA going into other promotions, always putting their email out there saying they're available for bookings, signings, all that. That's why you see some of these TNA wrestlers like Tara getting back into the restaurant business, and she's been just doing a phenomenal job with the Square Circle out in Chicago. But that's why you see a lot of these stars operating the way that they're operating, because the money just isn't what it used to be in TNA. TNA Wrestling, I like to kind of look back on them and compare them to the Washington Redskins. There used to be a point where if you want to get paid in the NFL, you go to the Washington Redskins because you knew Dan Snyder was going to open up that damn checkbook and you was going to get paid. That's how I kind of look at TNA early on. And, now it's just kind of looking like the way that they were doing all this big spending over the years, it looks as though it's finally starting to catch up with them. And it's quite unfortunate. And sooner or later, TNA Wrestling, they're going to have to make some really serious cuts to try to keep themselves afloat so that they can turn a profit. I've said it once before. I'll say it again. They've got to do something with Sting's contract. They've got to do something with Kurt Angle's contract. They've got to do something with Eric Bischoff's contract. Did I mention Hulk Hogan? If not, I'll mention him again or what have you. They definitely need to do something with that. They need to do something with all of those guys' contract because they are the ones that's really taking a big old slice of the pie. I'm wondering how much Dixie Carter is pulling in. Brooke Hogan, all those people. Bully Ray, I'm looking at all of those people. I think their contracts may need a little bit of renegotiating and try to see if they can make some type of a profit off of it. Now, on a lighter note, it looks like TNA Wrestling, they have hired a new vice president, television production. It is the one and only John Gerbrick. He's been named Executive Vice President of Television Production for TNA Entertainment, effective immediately. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it should, because he worked for the WWE for 13 years. So this is a huge acquisition for TNA Wrestling. I know some of you were commenting about this earlier today. Some of you said, hey, it looks like, the production value is finally going to step up. We're no longer going to be seeing Impact Wrestling in Windows Media format. I guess you could kind of say in a sense, if you were to kind of really, I guess those days are done with. I guess we'll start seeing more crisp, more WWE-like type of quality. But this guy, he definitely has a good track record. He was awarded the ProMax BDA Brand Builder of the Year Award and guided all image and branding building media campaigns as well as network documentary programming. And on top of that, folks, he spent 10 years as operations manager for National Business Archives in Jessup, Maryland, not too far from our neck of the woods here. He earned a Bachelor of Arts from Townsend University in Townsend, Maryland, and he's a proud member of the Townsend University Athletic Hall of Fame. And he is currently relocating his family to Nashville to be more closer to Dixie Carter and Cruz. So, good news right there. But I don't know if this is really the right type of time to be bringing in these type of talents. I mean, only time will tell if they're making the right move right here. But honestly, they've got to do something with the way that some of these talents have their contracts set up, because that's what's really taking a big piece of the pie. Oh, let's not forget, we also got to throw Jeff Hardy in there. There's no telling how much money he's making, let alone probably off the merchandise sales. But I don't know. I definitely want to hear what you guys think about all these moves that's going on, especially with TNA now cutting back on travel expenses for some of these performers. It just, when you hear it, it's just, man, you guys can't even afford to just come out your pockets and just pay for your talents just in general. You don't have to cherry pick. Just, you can't pay for your talent to come to the events. I mean, really? Things are that bad? This is a case right here where it really is, if you love TNA, you just really love TNA, and it's really not about the money. But my hat's off to some of these stars that have been able to continue to stick with TNA as it continues to go through its financial hardship. But that's pretty much going to do it. All right, I want to give you guys some quick programming notes. So this Saturday on the weekend edition of the RCWR show. We're going to be joined by former WWE commentator Matt Striker. We were actually one of the first people to score an interview opportunity with him earlier in the week, like over the weekend. We had secured him, and we know he's been making his rounds on a few other shows, but if you know our track record, you know that we like to try to be as original as possible with our line of questionings, and to ensure that, I have actually done my very best to not listen to the other interviews that he's done. It's just a small handful that he's done so far. I'm getting the impression he's probably not going to do that many, but I promise you it's definitely going to be a unique interview in its own way come this Saturday. So I highly encourage you to check that out. You can catch it this Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and I will be asking him that TNA wrestling question as far as would he be interested in a commentating position with them, given in light of what's going on with Taz. And we're going to be talking all things wrestling. And any questions or comments that you have that you would like for us to ask Matt Striker, I definitely would love to hear from you. You can send us a tweet at Infinity One Prod, or you can send us a tweet at the RCWR show. You can even send us an email. Our email info is at our website over at InfinityOneProductions.com. Just click on the Contact Us tab and send your question or comment, and we'll just select a few to read to him when we got him live on the air. Monday, we're going to be doing the RCWR show live. We're going to cover the fallout from Monday Night Raw. Tuesday, we will have the regular edition of the RCWR show, which you can catch on blogtalkradio.com. Next Thursday, there will be no Impact Showdown live. I am actually going to be going on a mini vacation. So what does that mean? Well, from next week, basically Thursday through basically Monday, I'll be back. So I'm going to be on a bit of a 4-day break. About time to recharge the batteries for a little bit. But have no fear, you may see me pop up on somebody else's show. I'm just giving you guys a little hint right there. So I may be silent come Thursday of next week, but if you search around right, you may be able to find me on a few other people's shows during that week. But for all the very latest and what you might have missed from TNA Wrestling, I definitely would encourage you to hop on over to ImpactWrestling.com. You can also hop on over to YouTube, check out their channel at TNA Wrestling. They have great little clips of what all you might have missed each and every single week. If you're watching this on YouTube for the first time, I welcome you. I'd humbly welcome you, and I would love for you to subscribe to us so that you never miss out on all the exclusive content that we upload on our YouTube channel on a weekly basis. While you're at it, subscribe to us, iTunes, Stitcher, use the keywords, the RCWR show. We are very close to breaking the 1,000 mark on Stitcher. We're so close to getting into the hundreds. We need you guys' help to make that possible. If you have not downloaded the free Stitcher app from the App Store, please do so. Add our show to your favorites through that Stitcher app. Share it with your friends, and let's get us in the low hundreds there. Let's make it possible. That's going to do it. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I will see you all this Saturday for our interview with former WWE color commentator Matt Striker, 2 p.m. Eastern. Everybody, pleased to meet you. Nice to know me, Black Avenger Lee Sanders. Wishing you all to be safe and be kind to one another. We'll see you this Saturday. Everybody take care.